Hello YouTube. This is the second in a series I'm going to be doing about vintage cameras from the 30s to the 60s. The ones that I feel are just really unusual, uh, Art Deco type design, and just altogether really beautiful cameras. So let's get started. Today, a camera that I have from a friend of mine let me borrow it today for this video. Uh, this is a Brooklyn born camera. This is from the White House Products Company in Brooklyn, New York. This is the Beacon 225. It is a 620 film camera. It took square medium format film. It produced a square negative, a nice large 6x6 medium format negative to give beautiful prints. Even if you just made a contact of it, it would be a beautiful, crisp print. So let's get into it. This camera was originally sold in 1950 to 1958 for $15. Today, on the market, on the internet, they're selling for about 50 to 60, but that usually does not include this very hard to find flash bulb. This bulb is as big as a standard household bulb, but it's only for one use, one flash, and you would have to change this for each flash picture you took. I gave it a close examination, and it looks like in the 50s when they were making these bulbs, on the inside of the glass, it looks like it has a plastic coating. I guess that was to cut down on the pieces of glass that would sometimes break and fly into the room, right into the people you were trying to photograph when this would blow up, basically. So this takes 620 film. 620 film, believe it or not, is still available, hand rolled by people on the internet. They will take a 120 roll of film and they will roll it on the thinner 620 spool. 120 and 620 was just a marketing tool that some manufacturers did, so you would have to buy their film to fit their camera. But basically what it was 120 film, just on very thin spools. And I'll show you that spool now. The release is right over here. Press down to open. Let's see if we can do that. Okay. Oh, it would be nice if I told you first that you have to remove the beacon flash synchronizer. We'll get to that in a second. It kind of just pops right off. And let's see. You open the bottom latch, pressing down, and it swings right open. Now the inside of this particular one is in very good shape. The lens still operates. Let's see. It's about an F, maybe an F 5.6 at about, looks like about a 30th to a 50th of a second. And this is what a 620, let me just show you the lid. It says U size 620 film. This is a 620 reel. It's metal. And what makes it a 620 compared to a 120, I'll show you what, this is an exposed roll of 120 film, is that it's just slightly, very, very slightly smaller when you line it up. It's just slightly smaller. And the reason for that is a 120 roll of film wouldn't fit. So what they do now, you can get it for about $15 a roll, is that somebody will hand roll. They'll take a 120 roll of film, they'll take a 620 spool, and they'll hand roll it in the dark, of course, and then they'll sell it to you for $15 a roll. Okay, so let's put this back in. Okay, go over a few features. Get back in there. Okay. Go over a few features. It has a very well chamber here for light to expose the film. The film, here's your 6x6 centimeter negative. Okay, you would take this spool, put it here, put your fresh roll there, and this would be your film advance right over here. It has the red window in the back, because on the back of the paper, which is the backing on the film, it has numbers, and you can see what frame you're up to. Let's see. This camera by the White House Company in Brooklyn, New York, made this model, the 225, in several colors. 5 colors to be exact: black, beige, white, turquoise, and red. The black one, of course, was the least expensive. And to find the other colors today on the internet or at camera shows, they bring in more money than the plain black. Now you see, this is a wonderful idea. This gives you the length, the proper length from the film plane to the lens to take a photograph. Right here's your shutter. Now, when you're done taking photographs, you squeeze in the locks on either side. Squeeze in and push gently. And now it makes it more compact. These were often sold with a leather case that this would fit nicely into. What's interesting is that the case would have the neck strap, but not the camera. So if you look on here, there's no place for a camera strap. I guess you can get an aftermarket tripod one that screws into the bottom, and it has a loop for a neck strap. When it's closed, it has a safety that you cannot take photographs, which was a great idea. And also, when you look into the viewfinder, it has a slight bar at the bottom. I guess that's an indication that says don't take a picture. The lens is not in the correct place. So let's talk about this flash. I love this flash. This is so Art Deco. Reminds me of a 58 Cadillac. Has so many bells and whistles. Look at the design. This is like pinstriping almost, you can say. This bulb, like I said, is huge. This is probably more sought after than the camera itself in this condition, in an unused condition. The back, the flash umbrella, if you want to call it, is almost flat, slightly coned to give you a nice directed flash. I can imagine the heat that came out of this and how hot this got when you took a flash picture. Incredible. Let's look at the back. It says Beacon 225 Flash Synchronizer, made in the USA, White House Products, Brooklyn, New York. Now, one thing about this camera, the camera itself, of course, for a 1950s camera, no batteries required. However, if you want to use the flash, you have to open the back trapdoor, and it says right there, caution, always arrange the batteries in the positions shown. Use any pen light cell batteries. I love when they used to call AA batteries pen light batteries. And this particular flash unit is 80%, 85% clean of any kind of acid that might have leaked out of the batteries. Don't forget, the batteries from the 50s almost always leaked. If you left them in for more than 8 weeks, 10 weeks, they would leak the acid out. So that's what kills these units. That's when people would just throw them away because of the battery acid that would leak. According to the manual that I found online for this camera, 2 AA batteries would be good enough for 100 flash pictures. it offered you different bulbs for different situations, more powerful, less powerful, smaller, bigger. Now to attach it to the camera, okay, once again, you hold the camera steady, pull straight out. It locks in place. Very well thought of, very well engineered. 2 tabs go under the front element housing. And look at the fitting. Look at the fit right here in this area. These steps. It just goes in and just perfectly. You mechanical engineers out there, your forefathers did some job on matching this up. Then you had to lock this in or it would fall off. And it was really ingenious the way that they would trigger. Of course, there's no hot shoe. There's no cord that goes into an X or an M sync. The way that they did it is that when you press this button and you had your batteries in and you had your bulb, your flash bulb in, when you press this down, it would cross the contacts between the 2 pieces of metal that are in here. It would short it and it would fire the flash bulb. Just wonderful. This is immense. This is 10 inches tall from the top to the bottom. Some amateur press photographers, when they were starting out as a hobby or just getting their feet wet, they might use something like this. It was medium format, so a newspaper could easily take the film, develop it, make a contact print, all within 40 minutes of getting the roll of film, and they could go to press with it. Let's see. It says on the front, it's a doublet 70 millimeter coated lens. From what I read online, these are glass lenses, and they are color corrected. These are ground glass elements. Very nice. Still has a nice shine to it. The viewfinder is very small, doesn't let a lot of light in, but it's adequate. Here's the problem with the camera. When it was designed, they left out an important feature, which is you can continue, if you're a youngster or you're at a party and you've had a few apple martinis, you may forget that you took a picture and you forgot to rewind the film. Took another picture right on top of that exposure and you forgot to wind the film. You could shoot thousands of pictures on one frame. It doesn't have a multiple exposure safety. So you would have to remember, take a picture, advance the film. Take a picture, advance the film. That's one drawback. But a lot of cameras had that problem back in 1950 through 58. They knew it was a problem, but to gear it so to take a picture, you see it just didn't make any mechanical sense for this model to make it multi exposures. This is Bakelite. This is right before the word plastic or the chemical structure of plastic. This is Bakelite from the 1950 to 58. They were using Bakelite for everything in household items. Let's see. I mentioned that it was made in Brooklyn, New York, USA, from White House. Just to wrap up, this is a 1950-1958 Beacon 225, 12 exposure when you're using 620 film. Gives you a nice 6x6 centimeter negative. Very popular. This was, if you had this back in the 50s, you were really doing it. Like I said, it's got a beautiful Art Deco design. These were not an oversight. These stripes here from the auto market, almost every high-end car, like the 1958 Caddy, was coming out with pinstripes. Beautiful.